What is going on, everyone? We are here with another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is we got new artists, new stories, new songs. We got everything here, and we're slowly getting to that 100 episode mark and just having a blast doing it, meeting a lot of new artists and hearing a lot of new stories. So today I welcome Izzy Grace to the show. Izzy, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
And not too bad. First off, just thank you for taking time out of your day today. I know it's a
Yeah.
Saturday, so obviously people got all kinds of plans on Saturdays and stuff like that. But just thank you for taking time out of the day to sit here and talk about your story through music today.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
No, of course. So kind of really just hopping right into the first question. It's always the basic of basics, and it really just kind of sets up the whole story and kind of sets up the whole interview is where did everything kind of come about for you singing and playing wise? Because I know for some people it starts at such an early age, like the day they were born, they start humming nursery rhymes and stuff like that. But I like to compare it to someone like myself who really only started the songwriting and producing aspect of things back in 2018. So that was only like 5 years ago. So
Yeah.
where did everything kind of come about for you?
So I kind of do have like the basic generic story where I have been singing since I could talk, basically. I was probably about 2 years old, and I told my mom she was doing laundry in the laundry room, and I walk in there and I was like, "Mom, I'm gonna be a hollow girl when I grow up." And she's like, "What the heck is that?" And I was like, "It's a girl who sings hallelujahs for Jesus on TV." And so my mom was like, "How do you? What is this girl talking about at 2 years old?" And so I just kept singing from there. I didn't really do much with it, like not really a lot of vocal lessons or training. And then I got into high school and I went to a very arts focused high school. So we did a lot of singing and a lot of productions and a lot of stuff like that. So that's when I really got the grasp of being on stage and doing stuff like that. And then recently I got into the country. I've always loved country, I've always sang country, but I never really performed it. So in March of 2022 was the first time that I ever sang anything country. And it was for a singer songwriter competition and just like instantly fell in love with it. And so, like, from then on out, it was like every weekend, like, I know what I'm doing.
No, and that's awesome. I mean, that's just perfect is the country music. That's really what draws me in. Everyone knows I'm a country boy at heart, and that's what I always grew up on is like that
Yeah.
90s early 2000s country is really what I grew up on. Like my mom like cleaning the house and stuff would always be playing all kinds of country music, and it
Yeah.
was just instilled in me from the very first time. And like I've always loved music too, and it's just when everything kind of happened in 2018 for me, it's just like I was like I love music, but like and then I started songwriting and I was like, you know what, I can do this. Like this is what I'm meant to do. Love country music, I love telling stories and stuff like that, and what better way to do that than write country music?
Right. Yeah. And I'm
um
so close to Nashville. So it was just kind of like, this is what we do,
No,
growing up,
exactly.
like
And it's
right
always
down the road.
easy like when you're that close to Nashville or like some people out in California and stuff too, like doing music. But like for me, like here in Boston, it's a little difficult just because
Yeah.
so far away from like those two music cities, because like that's where a lot of artists are. Obviously, there's plenty of artists in Nashville and plenty of artists out in LA and Hollywood and stuff like
Yeah.
that too. So it's hard here to do that kind of stuff. But what really drives me is inspirations from all different kinds of artists, and that's kind of leading into this next question is talking about who some of your inspirations are, because I could literally sit here, I could honestly make a side podcast of just about inspirations alone and sit here for hours on end talking to you about all kinds of artists that have inspired me along the way. But for you, who are some artists that you kind of really look up to and kind of listen to draw inspiration from?
So definitely since I was a little girl, it's been like Carrie Underwood fanatic. And so I feel like growing up, she had a huge inspiration on me. Like, just everything I did, the style that I sang, it was like all taken from her. Now that I've gotten a little older, my writing style follows like kind of still that same like sassy girl power like of Miranda Lambert and Carrie Underwood, but my style's kind of become more of like a outlaw-ish kind of like I've been listening to like a lot of Chris Stapleton and like Zach Bryan, and so like
Yeah.
that's kind of carried over. So I have like the sass from like the girl bosses at the top, but
Yeah.
then kind of more like that outlaw style. So it's kind of like a weird mixture, but hey, I like it.
No, exactly. And it's always cool to just have that mixture and stuff like that because like I always tell people like never box yourself in. Like don't trap yourself inside that little box. Like have that versatility and listening to all different kinds of artists, whether they're from all the same genre but they're kind of doing different things or if they're from different genres too. Because like honestly, like I always say like the highway is a perfect example. There's four lanes on the highway because you can go into each lane that you want and wherever you're comfortable you can stay there and just drive on that lane or you can switch over and start changing things up a little bit and listen to new artists and kind of change
Mhm.
your direction a little bit. So I always just love when people kind of have that versatility when it comes to inspirations.
Yeah.
Getting to the creative process, always something that artists, I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to the creative process, honestly, and a lot of artists know that. And just the storytelling aspect behind a song is really what drives me to an artist. Is you can sit there and write a good song and tell a good story from start to finish, then at the end of the day that's what I feel like a successful songwriter is. And
Mhm.
honestly, just reaching other people, like it's great if you could reach like 1,000 people, 100 people, something like that. But at the end of the day, for me as a songwriter, is if I can touch that one or two people that say, hey, like this song really helped me, this is what really like drove me to like kind of get inspiration, like that's what makes me feel good as a songwriter at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So kind of for you is, what is your creative process like when it comes to writing music?
It's kind of so like versatile. I feel like it's never the same. I could be a lot of times I'll be driving in the car and I'm just listening to music and it's like, whoa, wait, hold on. And I like just turn my music down and then I turn into like that one girl on the road that's like on her phone trying to like not drive off the road. I'm like, hold on, this is good. I had to write this down. So sometimes it looks like that. And then I come home and I sit in this exact same room and I just chill and just see what happens.
Yeah.
Some other times I'll be having like a conversation and somebody will say something to me or I'll say something and I'll be like, hold on one second, grab my notes and I'm writing it down. And so I have like hundreds and hundreds of like just one or two line lyrics or just names of songs that I want to write. And then if I'm feeling super creative that day or I don't have anything going on, then I literally lock myself in this room. I just sit in silence because I feel like the longer like I sit and I'm able to just like think about things and like
Yeah.
let my brain just wander wherever it wants to go and just like be totally free to say whatever, do whatever. That's whenever like I feel the most creative.
Yeah, and it's always just super cool because like some artists like they start with a melody and then work on the lyrics from there, but then someone like myself, like I love lyrics. So like I start with the lyrics and I start with that song title and then I don't even care about the melody at that point. I'm just trying to
Mhm.
write a good song and it's always just really cool to kind of hear how people start with that. And it happens at all different kinds of times too. Like it can happen at 1 in the afternoon or 1 in the morning. Like and then
Right.
you have to like write that stuff down or you have to make those voice memos because I mean if you don't, then for me I'll forget in like 5 minutes what I was just thinking 2 minutes
Oh yeah.
ago. Like it's ridiculous.
Oh yeah, me too. I have like terrible memory. I can't remember anything. So yeah, I'm instantly writing it down. But I'm definitely lyrics first, melody later. It's
Yeah,
like poetry.
exactly. And like that's like how I really started too, is just like writing like stuff like that and just writing things down. But then a lot of people know is back in 2018 when I lost my grandfather, that's how I wrote my first ever song, was just that. Like 2 months after that, I needed an outlet. I needed to vent and I started writing things down. And not even 2 hours after that, like that whole thing, like I wrote a whole song. I was like, I actually have something here. And then it just kind of all came about. And that's really how the whole getting into the music industry really started for me. And then 2020 rolled around, the pandemic, just sitting here kind of not doing anything, and then the podcast kind of came about. So it's always just really cool to just sit there and be able to write music when you can, and it's a fantastic outlet to do too, honestly.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Getting to the fourth question, it's always the hardest question that I do ask on the show, and artists usually hate it. And I say, thank God I'm the one asking the questions and not answering them, because I don't know if I'd be able to answer this one honestly. And I tell people that all the time. is there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of artists out there trying to make a name for themselves on Instagram, TikTok, all streaming platforms like Apple Music and Spotify. And obviously, as an artist, trying to get your name out there is hard because there's plenty of other artists in the line either ahead of you or behind you that are still trying to make a name for themselves too. So at the end of the day is what makes you you compared to these other artists, and what can we kind of take away from what you're doing compared to what other artists are doing?
Yeah, so I just I'm always 100% myself. I am not good at faking things. I Authenticity to me is like what I look for in a person, that's what I want to give. So that to me is probably one of the most important things as an artist that kind of set me apart, which there are authentic artists out there, but like sometimes you don't know, is that what you're really getting? But then also music is literally everybody's sharing, everybody's doing the same thing and they're sharing it. And so for me, I'm just trying to find a new way to say the things that have been said so many times, but I just want to say it in a whole new way. And so that's just kind of where I stand with it.
Yeah. No, and I mean that's awesome. I mean, because you can just tell from your music that like that's definitely what you're trying to do. I mean, I was listening to one of your originals and then some covers and stuff that you had on YouTube, and I mean, you're just a super, super talented artist, and I love what you're doing. And honestly, you remind me a lot of another artist that I had on the show was Adara K. Like she's just doing like the same kind of stuff that you're doing, and like the female country artists are really what needs to happen in country music more than what it used to be, because they weren't a thing like a long like back in the day, and now they're all starting to grow. Obviously Lainey Wilson's starting to make it big and stuff like that, and it's always cool just to see that. But you definitely have what it takes, and I'm super excited to see what else is coming for you.
Thank you.
No, of course. And kind of talking about what else is to come for you, that leads to the fifth and final question before we hear some music from you. Is what are some of your goals, like short term and long term, and just what else can we expect down the road from you?
Yeah, so right now short-term goal is I have a some not an exact date, but we have like a couple week plan. We're getting into the studio, getting everything recorded so we can go ahead and get some stuff out on all streaming platforms. Because I guess that's the best way to get your name out there, is to actually have music out there. So that's short term goal. Long term, I just want to keep making music. Want to keep on sharing what I have to say. Um, just staying true to myself and what I stand for, what I believe in, and just be happy. I don't want it to ever feel like a job. Like
No,
for me, it's just fun, and I don't want to feel like I'm working a 9 to 5.
exactly. And I mean, honestly, that's it right there. As long as you're having fun with it and it's what you love to do, and it doesn't feel like you're being forced to do that or that it's getting too overwhelmed, like that's what it is for an artist right there, is just doing what you love and having fun with it and connecting with people and making those connections as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of concludes all the questions that I have for you today. And it always gets to the fun part of the interview, which is always my favorite part, is hearing a song from you.
The
So
music.
yes, so kind of what I'll do is I'll just put myself on mute if you want to let us know a little bit about what song you're doing. And other than that, the floor is yours.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna be playing "You Ain't Cash." It's a song that I wrote. Um, Kind of came about because uh I dated this very cocky, arrogant guy, and I was like, "Home slice, you're not it, you're not it. Like, calm down." So this song came about, and so I hope y'all like it. When we're downtown, some will listen to the song till the morning, all black saying, make it strong, shades up, head down, trying to look like something special. Slick back hair, skies, this and them. You might think you are living a country music song, but I'm telling you now, boy, ooh, you're so wrong. I can entertain and talk talk your way, but the line you walk ain't that straight. And my hair is blonde, me and her aren't the same. And your picture ain't hanging on the wall. Thank you, so no, I ain't Carter, but you ain't Cash. Those neon lights show you wandering eyes, but I see clear past you wanna be disguised. You think you have your choice of ladies. If you see me as an option, you are crazy. Cause you might think you are living a country music song. But I'm telling you now, boy, ooh, you're so wrong. I can entertain and talk your way, but the line you walk ain't that straight. And my hair is blonde, me and her aren't the same. And your picture ain't hanging on the wall. Thanks, I know I ain't Carter, but you ain't Cash. You're too busy being a liar. Us to ever have that ring of fire. You're too busy being a liar. Us to ever have that ring of fire. You're too busy being a liar. Us to ever have that ring of fire. I can entertain, talk you your way, but the line you walk ain't that straight. And my hair is blonde, me and her aren't the same. And your picture ain't hanging on the wall. Thanks, I know I ain't Carter. I know I ain't Carter. You ain't Cash.
Honestly, I love that song. Like that's such a vibe and just such a jam. And like I love how it just like ends on "You Ain't Cash." And like that's just I love that song and super great job on that.
Thank you.
No, of course. So obviously that kind of ends everything for today, pretty much. Again, just thank you so much for coming on and talk outro and stuff. Is where can we find you on social medias? So obviously, thank you so much just for taking time out of your day to sit here, talk about your story, and play a little song for us today. I really, truly appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. So kind of before I just do my little outro and stuff here is for people that want to go check you out, is where can we find you on social medias?
Yeah, so probably the easiest way would be going to izzygracemusic.com.
Mhm.
From there, I have links to my TikTok, to my Instagram, my Facebook, YouTube, all of that stuff. But other than that, you can basically find me by it's Izzy Grace, ITSIZZYGRACE.
Perfect. I mean, you guys heard it. Definitely go check her out. She's got a lot of cool stuff coming. And again, Izzy, just thank you so much for taking time out of your day and look forward to seeing what's going to happen for you down the road.
Yeah, I'm excited too. Thanks for having me, ACK.
No, of course. So that kind of concludes another episode of the Spotlight series hosted by yours truly, ACK. Y'all know the drill at this point is Sundays, 1 p.m. Eastern. We got new music, new artists, new stories. Never know who's going to pop through, never know what you're going to hear. So y'all stay tuned for next week. And thanks for tuning in today.